Hey everybody, Dave Neal here with an update in the Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively case, the uncivil war they're calling it, the nastiest non-marital breakup that we've seen in Hollywood probably ever. Of course, Justin Baldoni's side saying, well, we think Blake Lively made the accusations she made to commandeer the film away from him. Her side saying, well, how about I was just harassed and I was speaking up for myself. So that's the argument, right? In a nutshell. Save your couple $100 million, I've solved it. Well, now we've got ruffling of the feathers, the parrot feathers, that is, from Blake Lively's side, saying Blake Lively's attorneys warn against online content creators that parrot Justin Baldoni's line. By the way, I kind of feel like online content creator is a little redundant. I think most content creators are online, right? There's no content creators that are just doing live performances. Hey, I'll be at the Round in East Nashville's Bushwick Park or wherever. I'm doing my live content creating. Okay, sure. Theater in the park. Maybe you guys would like that. Should we all just get together at 10 a.m. at Starbucks and I'll just do this for you live? The only live content creating that exists is when my wife asks me what's going on in the news and I just I parrot everything I've already said. So anyhow, will this backfire is the big question. And the answer is certainly maybe. The thing that I learned, or I have learned covering celebrity news and things like that over the last few years is there is a hierarchy of intelligence, so thinks the legal system, right? If you're a lawyer, chances are you don't want some asshole like me thinking he knows what he's talking about. And by all means, I don't have a law degree, but I can communicate to my audiences what I think is going on. And people generally start trusting content creators when they try to get it right. That's why I'm so very careful if there's a point that Blake Lively has where I go, well, we got to see it from this angle, because if I become a pitchfork mob member, then I am only seeing things through that lens. And we try to have a little bit more objectivity while also having an opinion. People have questioned me, Dave, I don't think you have a backbone because you're not sharing your opinion. I've shared it ad nauseum, my opinion, which I believe Justin Baldoni. So says the evidence. That's what I believe right now. With that said, I've also looked at how the hell could Blake have done this and what could have motivated her to think that maybe she was on the right side of this story. And I think I have every right. And I think people will actually enjoy those types of conversations where you look at it, you call it devil's advocacy, you look at it from different angles. Well, the fact that Blake Lively's attorneys are now kind of coming after in one way or another content creators is not good, because those that might not have the integrity to try to be equal might go harder from Justin Baldoni's side and go, you know what, F her. I'll make 7 TikTok videos a day or whatever. So the internet is not owned by anybody. Other than Al Gore, I believe. Does he own it? He created it. So the internet exists. If a TikToker wants to make a video and be very intrusive about Blake Lively's, children or whatever, I wouldn't do that. That's crossing a line for me. But I'm also not going to be held accountable if somebody else does that. I think there's a huge problem with the healthcare system in the United States, but I didn't pull Luigi's trigger. Do you guys understand? So we can have these conversations where we're not all lumped into the same. When you do lump everybody into the same side, it becomes easier to try to go, oh boy, here's more of that fake news, right? So this is kind of Blake Lively's side calling anybody who's covering this story, oh, you must just be on Justin Baldoni's fake news side, which is so insulting. And I've learned this having covered legal stuff for a while. I had a bar complaint against a lawyer who was trying to, threaten to sue me into oblivion and steal my home and all these other things. And when I filed that bar complaint, I could tell very quickly from the tone of the lawyers within the Arizona State Bar that they were siding with the other guy. They thought I was this petulant YouTuber, like, hit the like button, fam, zing, whatever. And, YouTube, for whatever reason, has that image. We think of Vines, if you're old enough, and short form content. We think of the sort of viral aspects, do or say anything to get the attention of the audience. Sure, I make a hell of a thumbnail. Maybe there's a tinge of clickbait like any other modern, journalism that's out there. But I have to be held accountable to my audience. I want them to show up tomorrow and the next day. And I have to know I'm trying very hard to get it right for that to happen. So that's what's so interesting in these accusations. We already covered this on the Mornings Rush Hour podcast, but I want to share it with you right here. And this is from her response to the protective order. Wayfair parties requested the entry of such an order because they intend to take advantage of its provisions. Certain online content creators who frequently parrot the Wayfair parties line, at least one of whom just so happens to be a client of Wayfair's counsel, Brian Friedman, that's Perez Hilton, have used similar misleading accusations. Perez Hilton says Blake Lively asked judge for stronger protective order to keep Justin Baldoni's suit details private after receiving violent messages. So yes, you get 100 characters on YouTube. I don't know how many it is on TikTok or Instagram for your title. So yes, you're going to take certain words and clip them out of context. That just happens in newspapers. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish every day I could just say, Justin Baldoni, update today, and then it would be fine. But that's just not the way the algorithm works. You have to play within that system. If it bleeds, it leads. I'm not saying we should make it bleed, but if you see a little blood, you put it in the title. That's what you do, all right? That's how it works. Love it or hate it, that's how it works. So they show the evidence, Candace Owens, and late last night while we all slept, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds filed a protective order. The guilty as sin couple is asking a judge to protect from the public. This is Candace Owens' First Amendment rights. There are a lot of things I don't agree with that Candace Owens shares. Like, take for instance the French issue with the President Macron and whether or not his wife was hiding her trans identity and groomed him as a kid. Look, they're adults. I'm not getting into that scenario. I don't see it hurting anybody else. Maybe I don't know enough about it, but when I see someone like Candace Owens covering that, I go, no thanks, not for me, just not for me. Someone else wants to cover that, that's on them, not for me. I'm not judging people who get into that tea. It does zero purpose for me to and for the greater conversation at large to dive into that. Anyhow, but again, I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying, I don't agree with a lot of things Candace Owens does. If people in the comment section want to say, Dave, I can't believe it, blah, 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 so be it. That's just my opinion. I choose every day what stories I want to cover and from which angle. So I give grace to content creators for deciding how they want to cover things. Now, if you consistently get it wrong as a content creator and consistently neglect the evidence that's thrown in front of your face, and you consistently do clickbaity stuff to generate cultural warfare and blah, 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 then I'll call you out. And I feel that way with Megyn Kelly. I feel like she's become more or less a disgrace, to be quite honest, with the way that she tries to make every single thing anger and rage. It's like, why don't you talk about egg prices? Why don't you talk, you're a political commentator. Why don't you talk about the stripping down of the Constitution and things like that? I digress. So, you can judge everybody differently. You can agree or disagree with me, and you can vote with your follow and decide if I'm for you or not. And some people that, when I go hard, they doubly subscribe. They love me even more. And some people unfollow. And in the end, the late, great Patrice O'Neal, as a stand-up comedian, said, if you're not walking half the room, you're not trying. And I'm not saying trying like there should be some collateral damage for the sake of it, but like be strong with your opinions. And if these content creators are strong with their opinions, how dare Blake Lively's side say, oh, that's just because they're parroting Justin Baldoni's lines? How about this? What if Justin Baldoni's line is the right one? What if he's telling the truth? What if all this evidence he has about him not sharing porn and it's just water bursts? What if that's just the right thing? So you look at it and you go, well, me intuition thinks that this guy's got no reason to lie, no reason to harass, no reason to do any of these things. At most, maybe she was creeped out by him, but it's not worth, So you think of all of that and you go, all right, I guess that's kind of where I am right now. And again, if we get that Ring camera footage or if we get a really strong first-person testimony from a credible source, that's like, yeah, no, he slapped her ass and he did this, or he completely violated what the scene was supposed to be, and the intimacy coordinator had to tell him, like, what if we get that, we probably change our opinion, don't we? And I think that just goes to show that in mass, the critical thinking skills do still exist. And it's folks like, I hope my channel and others like it, that say, hey, we are willing and open to move our position around. I try to remove my ego from these conversations, because when you bring your ego, you dig 10 toes deep on one side. I've had stories where I've gotten it wrong before. You bet your bottom dollar. It's actually been kind of rare, because what I've been doing as of late, the last couple of years, is I try to just save more time. Why are we so rushed to get it right? This lawsuit's going to be going to trial in March of 2026. What's the rush? Let's keep on getting the discovery. Let's keep on seeing it. I have my opinions, like I shared, that I believe Justin Baldoni, but let's wait and see. Here's a clip from 3 years ago, Ireland AM, which is like the TMU version of the Today Show, the Irish TMU version. Here they had me on, and I was actually at midnight my time, Los Angeles, and I had just ate an edible. So as my edible was hitting, I realized this conversation wasn't going in the direction I thought it would, as I was essentially bamboozled by this, I guess, former rugby player turned host. I'm sure playing rugby gives you all of the credentials to be a great host. Here he is, not understanding the full story that I was covering, essentially saying I was only in it for the bucks, the big YouTube bucks.
YouTuber and stand-up comedian Dave Neal, who's been covering the case over the last 6 weeks. Dave, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I just want to, there's a quote here from a Stanford law professor who says, allowing this trial to be televised is the single worst decision I can think of in the context of intimate partner violence.
At this moment, as I smile, I realize I'm being bamboozled. I realize the coyotes have lured me into the den. Me, a young poodle, excited to play with a new animal, lured into the den.
And sexual violence in recent history. And there are so many law schools around the US saying this as well, that people aren't going to come forward. So what do you think the role of social media played in this case, Dave?
All right, that's 30 seconds and I haven't spoken so far.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I think that we need to see this play out, and we needed to see the court system do its job. I don't think any victims should worry that they won't be believed. I think everybody believed Amber Heard for several years. And then after several years of believing her, the truth came out and there wasn't enough evidence to support any of her claims, and she lost.
But that's rubbish, Dave, to be honest.
And then so if you ever hear this line,
that's rubbish, Dave.
I've got it on my soundboard here.
That's rubbish, Dave.
So he immediately calls out my defense of democracy.
Honest with you, do we really need to know exactly what the ins and outs of it? I mean, it's a nasty divorce between two people who unfortunately have broken up and who've gone through a really difficult time, and to have it played out across social media, it was only for the benefit of people like yourself setting up YouTubes, or people, wanting to watch on.
Are we worried about the...
Wow. So I got called out. And by the way, what a boomer. No offense to boomers, because he's obviously not. He's probably a millennial. But he goes, it's YouTubes. Is that what they call it in Ireland, the YouTubes? It's like when you refer to the Facebook.com. Remember the Facebook.com, my old millennials? So either way, I bring this up because they were trying to make it seem like they were basically trying to shame content creators for covering a trial, which was actually about defamation. And when a trial is about defamation, I think it should be as public as possible. The dang trial is about whether or not someone defamed somebody else. So why would you want it behind behind closed doors? You want the public to see all of the evidence to know if somebody was smeared or not. So I think while I think the Johnny Depp trial doesn't have much in common with this trial in the sense that, it was so dark and personal and there was all that, it has something in common with the defamation aspect, which is it was Justin Baldoni smeared, or was Blake Lively smeared? They're kind of claiming it to each other, right? And it has to play out in the public so that the public can understand who they want to support moving forward. So that's where I stand on that. And this clip obviously took off. And by the way, literally everybody was on my side. The male reporter didn't follow anything after all. He is doing the reporting. I'll remember him as the rubbish Irish reporter.
That's rubbish, Dave.
So anyway, maybe they got a good laugh out of it. They've invited me back since then, but I was actually on my honeymoon, so I couldn't go. But hey, if they ever want to know more about this case, maybe I'll be a little bit more prepared to push back. But this is what I actually despise about mainstream media is we didn't have an hour-long conversation. It's 4.5 minutes long. They bring their side up. I wasn't even privy. The producer, God bless her, bamboozled me. They bamboozled me. Oh, we want to have you on. And then I come on. And they brought me on to represent content creators. This is of no insult to TikTokers and other short-form content creators, but I have consistently tried to play this thing by the books, not call people out for, their looks or this or that. It's like, let's keep it to the pertinent information. So anyway, there have been a lot of content creators that have been in this space. I want to congratulate our good friend Lauren for just hitting 10,000 subscribers. Lauren right there at Lethal Lauren 904. You can go find her, the Court of Random Opinion. She actually just shared Psych Evaluator talks manipulation in Blake Lively, and that's a different case. Yeah, she compared it to the other case we were kind of threatened with. But Lauren is a psych evaluator, so she offers a unique opinion and just hit 10,000 subscribers. And also Albertson and Davidson, I was on their channel just 2 days ago. Not only did we get them above 10,000, but they're already at 11,200 subscribers. I got an email from them. They said, hey, thanks, Dave. We received part of that Dave Neal bump.
That's rubbish, Dave.
So how rubbish is it that we are starting to get a low-level Oprah Winfrey-like burst of equity where we can help change people's lives to go from 9,000 to 11,000? And by the way, if you're wondering, I don't forget the day I hit 10,000 subscribers. I did a 10-hour marathon live stream to celebrate 10,000 subscribers. It was 4 years ago. My life has changed for the better since then, as this has become a full-time job. I bought a car, a house, I got married, and engaged. Although, no, we were already engaged when my channel took off. And we started a family and had a 9-month-old healthy baby boy. So I appreciate my audience in ways that people probably could never understand. Here's a brief moment here as we were taking phone calls on our 10-hour live stream.
Nice postcard from us, of course. Thank you so much. Very sweet.
96.
96 years young. There it is.
I can't believe she even watches the show. What is she? She must
So
be.
this is 9.5 hours in. Let's go to the last few minutes. Here's the last few minutes. I was probably drunk, to be honest.
Decompress a little bit.
$600.
Wow.
Didn't ask for it.
People donated $600 to the live stream.
Appreciate it so much.
Are you getting a little emotional? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you all right?
I am okay. I'm choked up.
So there it is.
Literally coughing and
Very choked up, full of gratitude for our audience. From 10,000 to 100,000, I got the big subscriber up there too. I think we're at 122,000 just in the last week or so. And maybe we'll hit 125,000 by Friday. At this point, it's like I'm not trying to harp on the subscriber amount, but just trying to show when you kind of blame these content creators for just parroting Justin Baldoni's lies, how trivial. These content creators, Zach Peter, some of these content creators that are out there that have been covering cases, like they've built up a reputation. And I don't think they're going to be pushed around. And any amount of attempt at pushing around, shaming, smearing will just increase their following. Because what I've learned, I've gotten so many emails from people this week that say, Dave, I never email anybody. This is weird. I'm sorry, but thank you. Thank you for sticking up for this. Thank you for being honest here. Thank you. And again, yeah, I, as a comedian, have to listen to my audience. I got to share my truth, but also listen to my audience. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree with my audience all the time, but I'm going to listen to them. And I've listened to you guys, and I like and love the community we've built. And I don't think we're parroting anything, but maybe we're parroting some positivity. I don't know. I can't parroting positivity. Is that a chicken? Whatever it is. Dave the Parrot. All right, that's it for me. We'll be back with the Rush Hour podcast. That's coming next.